12. Temptation is the price that the human race pays for intelligence, therefore the serpent of wisdom is also the eternal tempter. When man learns with his growing intelligence of the powers of nature and, most of all, of the power that he himself possesses, there comes with that increasing knowledge ever greater responsibility. If man today knew of the God powers that lie dormant within him, he would be the most dangerous creature in the universe, both to himself and to the plan of things. The soul must grow with the knowledge that it gains, otherwise the organisms will ultimately destroy each other. Action and reaction must build strength of character, so that the will is always strong enough to curb the desires. When this is not the case, and desire runs rampant, then, regardless of the position of the organism in the path of unfoldment, a black magician is created. 13. Man has no free will at the present time, but merely the power of choice over a certain area of incidents brought, by his ever-growing consciousness, within the scope of his comprehension. These incidents have been differentiated by his evolving organisms from the dark primum hyle, or the true blackness. The greater his growth, the larger the area of his choices and the greater his independence. Y has been the eternal question in nature, and the letter Y is its phonetic equivalent, for it forms the sling that hurls the white stone at the forehead of Goliath. The latter represents the false darkness, while the stone represents true illumination. 14. In Egypt, the point where the arms of the Y converge was called the forking of the ways. The candidate for spiritual things always stands at the point where the three arms of the Y come together, carrying in his hand the scales of discrimination. As long as he measures blindfolded, his weights will be just, but woe unto him if he removes the blindfold, for the two eyes themselves give birth to good and evil. 15. The diagram accompanying this paragraph, opposite, shows the Y of choice passing upward through the four creations of Brahma. The line passing through the circle shows the path of evolution through those kingdoms of nature where there is no conscious reason, therefore, no revolt against the laws of God. The small ring where the three lines meet shows the present position of the human ego dwelling in the mind of Brahma. From it, the path branches. Man must now choose his own way instead of depending upon nature. He has in spirit and in truth reached the point where the scales of Libra have been inserted by cutting the sign of Scorpio Virgo in two and thus dividing the way of unfoldment. 17. Those who follow the right-hand path enter into one of the 7 rays which lead to immortality, while those who follow the left-hand path enter the ray that leads to ultimate crystallization. Both lead to darkness, one to the immortal darkness of divine union, and the other to the mortal darkness of divine annihilation. The fruitage of black magic, the left-hand path. Those who take this path, number 1, choose that their immortal spirits shall be the servants of lower bodies, in this way involving themselves in ever denser materiality and enmeshing their consciousness more and more in matter. If this practice is persisted in long enough, the spirit will be unable to disentangle itself from the substances of the lower worlds, and must remain enmeshed therein until the dissolution of the universe at the time of the night of Brahma, when the divine spark is cast into the blackness of the infinite through the rings of Saturn. By taking this path, the ego attains darkness, but it is the darkness of the tomb and of unconsciousness, reached through the path of perversion and negation. Its reward is the black death and the loss of the soul. Such an ego wanders in a great unknown without hope, reason, or understanding, while the endless wheels of chaos dissolve the bodies of which it has failed to make the proper use. The fruitage of white magic, the right-hand path. In taking this path, number 3, the spirit identifies itself with those who choose to liberate the divine essence from its bodies and to have them for servants rather than masters. The consciousness unwinds itself from matter in a spiral motion, and functions in ever finer substances, until it completely disentangles itself from form and consciously attains the resurrection. In so doing, it gains the powers to mold matter into whatever forms are necessary for its labors. It crosses over into the world of spirit, and enters what man can know only as darkness. Light is a form emanation, and when we enter the divine presence, we enter the omnipotent darkness. This in the living shade, over which we have perfect power and which contains within itself all things in unawakened potentiality. We have allied ourselves with the dark cause, the womb of light, and have become molders of the cosmic scheme. Path number 2. This represents the line past not, the non-existing spiritual equator dividing the poles, and is that ridge which divides the black and the white paths, like that mystic line which separates day from night.